And good morning, everybody. This is your friendly host TK with Saturday morning with a side of tech, and I have the honor to share with you my guest today, Jordan Keys, from XDA and from how do you say the channel's name correctly? Is it Twiddle or Twill.tv?
Twill.tv.
Twill.tv. So good morning, sir, and hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good to be here.
Yeah, no. It's definitely something that I've been trying to do for a while, ever since I started the series, trying to talk to a lot of tech influencers, the people that at least influence my life, either on a daily or a weekly basis. Obviously, we've worked on this for the same channel for some time now, and we've interacted over the years. And then I just wanted to see, obviously, to be able to chat with you and see a little bit about what makes Jordan, I guess, and share that with our viewers so that they can get a little bit of a glimpse of both sides. I want to first say, obviously, this is just a standard collaboration. This is not an XDA sponsored one. So because we both do provide videos for XDA, this is separate. So this is just for our own channels. If you don't mind, Jordan, because I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but maybe if you can give us a small intro into what exactly is your channel's audience, or what you try to do on your channel.
Yeah. Well, like you said, my name is Jordan. I've been making videos on YouTube for almost 6 years now. Started on one channel, moved to another one. Doesn't matter, a lot of backstory there. But my current channel, Twill.tv, I do sort of anything and everything tech related. I talk about phones and tablets. I talk about electronics. You may be able to see there in the background, I have a quadcopter I'm currently building. I do a lot of videos about quadcopters, multi-rotors, just sort of anything technology related that sort of springs to mind. And over the last couple of months, I've actually been carrying a camera around with me and doing daily vlogging as well. Just one, because it allows me to sort of keep track of what's going on in my life. Two, my wife is pregnant, so this is a good way to keep track of all of that. So when the baby comes, we've got video of it. We've got immediate share out, so I don't lose videos or anything.
Yes.
And it does help improve editing skills, I think, because doing something every day and forcing yourself into a schedule and trying new things, it's great to learn, to experiment, to refine your skills. So went off on a weird tangent there, but that's sort of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and I think that's part of what people do enjoy, but either being fans or even watching the show. I personally I'm not going to say I'm not, and I watch the vlogs as often as I can, and it's something that I personally thought about trying to do. It's hard to build a habits like that, and I say that in a way, kind of, it's like wanting to run. If you ever wanted to start running on a daily basis and feel like you need to run that every day, and to do that, and as you say, to actually fine tune the skills to be able to basically have a good run, you have to do it and you have to get it. And I haven't been able to take that first step in vlogging, but I admire the fact that you're able to. And the videos, obviously, the video quality has been getting a lot better. I like the montages in the middle, which is much better. The time lapse that you go through, the music background, it looks really cinematic. It's looking a lot better than the first few ones that I started watching. But good.
Yeah, and that's just something fun I've started adding. I watch a lot of Casey Neistat, and that's a trick he does a lot, and I really liked it. And I thought, instead of New York City where he is, I've got all of this Kentucky landscape. Might as well take advantage of some of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking of equipment and cameras and so on, I guess maybe my first question could be, one of the questions is, what's your daily driver? What do you use on a daily basis?
It sort of depends on the day. Lately, right now, it's the OnePlus 2. I'm working through my thoughts and opinions on that one. Before that, it was the LG G4. Used that as a daily driver for a while. And actually, for XDA, I'm working through a video series right now of the top phones you can get for under $100. So I've been using each of these sort of as a daily driver. I have a stack of phones on my desk. Sorry. Going through using these. Like we went to Chicago recently, and I took the Moto E and used it as my daily driver while we were there as much as possible. I bought a T-Mobile SIM recently, and I've been using the LG Leon here and there as a daily driver. But for the most part, it's been the OnePlus 1 and the LG G4 for a little while.
Those are good phones, and I actually at one point had both of them with me. I had the G4 for a while, and I actually did I did this kind of, I sold the G4 to get the OnePlus 2.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. For me, at least as far as a daily driver right now, the Note 5 is my main unit. I used to have the Nexus 6 as a daily driver. I switched the Nexus 6 to the Google Fi network to test that one out. And the OnePlus 2 is my work phone. So I have I keep 3 with me. I really only use 2. The third one is more of checking coverage and accessibility and see if it works. And Google Fi actually does pretty well for what it's offering, at least for me. I find that it does penetrate buildings a little bit better than T-Mobile that normally does. And that's one of their known weaknesses as far as a provider, where whenever you go into buildings, you lose signal right away. So I don't know if you've experienced any concerns with the LG Leon one that you have, but at least in my opinion, I think Google Fi has a market if people need it.
Well, as far as the LG and the T-Mobile service, I have only used it for a few days, but I've actually been really shocked with how well it has improved. Around here, previously, it was if you're not in the city, if you're not directly in a large city, you don't get coverage with it. But I guess in the last year and a half or so, they have significantly increased their coverage. So I can go out on these back roads here in Kentucky. My in-laws live way out in the middle of nowhere, Western Kentucky, and I had 4G LTE service out there.
Wow.
So, I mean, they've gotten a lot better. Now, as far as what you were saying about being inside of buildings, I work from home, so I haven't been inside a building in a long time.
Yeah,
I go into the office Monday morning, and that's about it.
And I think it's like I said, it's a use case based benefit. If it's something that you needed, you could use it. I like the model. I just not a big fan of the data cap or the data pricing that come with it. Forces me to jump on Wi-Fi 90% of the time, and that's kind of right now it's an inconvenience. But that's a conversation for a different day. We can talk about that for hours as far as what you can't do. So basically, on average, I have about 3 phones, and I usually try to keep track of what I'm using. And I do cycle through a lot of phones a year, but that's an addiction on its own. I do it for work, and I also do it for as a hobby. But I guess maybe the one thing I wanted to find out essentially is you said 6 years ago to do tech videos or YouTube videos, I guess in the beginning. What got you into the YouTube video making? I guess maybe what was the cause for Jordan Keys to be the YouTube personality that you are today?
In a way, I kind of wish that this had happened earlier, but I don't even know what started it, what inspired me, but I somehow or another stumbled onto YouTube early on, like 2006, 2007, and I uploaded 1 or 2 videos. I had a little Casio pocket camera, and I went to an event in Chicago, a zombie march, and I filmed some of that, and I uploaded it, and it got a couple thousand views, and I was like, wait a minute, this is really cool. But then I didn't think about it for a couple of years. And then I found some daily vlogging channels, just, good-looking guy and a pretty wife or a pretty girlfriend, and they were talking about what was going on in their life. And I'm like, wait, people make a living doing this? People earn money making these videos? And they weren't, making their full living off of it. They were just having fun. But I started watching like the Shaytards and Charles Trippy and Ali when they were together, and several other channels like that. And started seeing that. I was like, well, this is fun and everything. What else is there out there? It was sort of an addiction at that point. What else can I find? And so I found some tech videos, and I found some, specifically at the time, I was really into Linux. So I started looking around for that, and there was not a huge amount of Linux content out there at the time. There were a couple of shows, and a lot of them were kind of longer format, an hour to an hour and a half per episode. And I ain't got time for that. And nobody got time for that.
No, not on YouTube, not these days.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, unless it's like a running podcast where you can put it on your phone and take it with you or something, that a lot of people can do, but even I can't even do that now. So I thought, well, what can I do? Maybe I can make videos, contribute in some way, make videos that are in the, 5-minute range, 10-minute range maximum, just talking about these kind of things. And so I started making videos in a news format back in the end of 2009, and that went very well. Within the first few months, I gained several thousand subscribers, and I became a YouTube partner, and it sort of snowballed from there. That channel is long gone at this point, unfortunately, but in moving to the new channel, it gave me the opportunity to sort of switch, because my passions change over time. switched from dedicated to just talking about Linux stuff to just general technology. So if I want to talk about Linux, for example, I can talk about the Ubuntu phone.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. But if I want to talk about some random new phone that comes out from China, the ZUK Z1 just came out, I can talk about that. If I want to talk about cameras or quadcopters or this weird little GorillaPod tripod, I can, I like having that freedom to be able to switch what I do on a day-to-day basis. So if my interests and my passions change, I can sort of go along with that. I've started throwing 3D printing stuff in for a while there, and I need to get back to that. Anyway.
No, and I think a lot of people did enjoy seeing the what you printed on the 3D printer that week, or the different characters. And I was hoping for more Dalek or some more Doctor Who stuff, but it's just, I noticed that you got the Doctor Who ice cube maker, or that was the Dalek one with
both the TARDIS and the Dalek.
TARDIS and Dalek. Yeah. Well, that makes sense there, but the form factor would fit perfectly together. A little bit
we're playing Dungeons and Dragons here at my house tonight, and I'm gonna bring those out and let the guests use those if they want.
That'll be nice. That will be really cool. And I see that I was asking you before. Obviously, we were talking. Your Doctor Who poster is on the left side, or at least from my perspective, it's on the left side. I think it's to your right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely a big fan. I missed the first episode last week, and I'm hopefully going to catch it this week before they play the new episode. So I'm going to have a couple-hour binge this evening.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I've gotten to the point where I don't even watch TV anymore. I spend so much time just in my office. That's sort of the downfall of the work from home scenario. Is you fall into that trap of doing day job work and then also doing YouTube work and dealing with vendors and dealing with other companies. And oh wait, it's already 1 a.m. I've got to go to bed now.
Yep.
It's like you miss out on so much. So I've been trying to take time to take away and go spend time with my son, spend time with my wife and family and everything. Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff to do. I know. It's speaking of a lot of things to do, and not that I want to throw more things, but so one of the things at least for me, I've struggled with being able to stay on my fitness path, at least, and stay working out and do the things that I need to do to stay healthy. And I have to say, your inspiration, you gave me a lot of inspiration when you did go through your process and your lifestyle change, as far as being able to basically just truly enjoy life and just exercise and do your daily things. And then I'm sure there was a lot of supporters, of course, XDA and your channel. But how do you find that fitting into your lifestyle now? Is it easier now than it was before? I'm sure it was hard to start, but for you, I mean, do you exercise every day? What's your routine? What's your secret, man? That's really what I'm trying to say. What's your secret?
Right. Well, in case the viewers aren't familiar with it, when I was in college, I gained a lot of weight and I didn't lose that weight. So I was 230 pounds or so. And for somebody my height, that's a very it's, what do they call it? Morbidly obese now. It was almost morbidly obese. It was right on the borderline. So 2013, I had a lot of stuff going on in my life. My grandfather passed away, and I realized I had to do something. I had to change. So I made it a goal. I lost the weight, worked hard, lots of exercise, lots of eating properly. By the end of the year, I dropped from 230 down to about 145. So I was very happy with that.
Definitely.
I have not stayed there. Right now I'm at about 175. So I've put back on some weight, and I'm trying to get back into that habit. I'd ideally like to stay in the 150 to 160 range. That's the healthy range for my height. And to do that, I've been trying to go out on a regular basis and go running, trying to cut back on the foods that are not so good for me. My wife at the time when we were losing the weight, introduced a lot of broccoli and a lot of grilled chicken. That was a lot of what we ate. And combine that with running on a regular basis, training for 5Ks. We did probably 3 or 4 5Ks a year. Last year, I actually did my first 10K, and I'd like to start doing 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of those a year, because it's just, it's pushing my potential, pushing my boundaries there. But when I was actively losing the weight, I was running 3 days a week. I was doing a little bit of exercise other than that here and there. And then, that just eating healthier. For a while there, after I'd finished losing the weight, I wanted to build up a little bit. So I was doing Tony Horton's P90X3, and I actually bulked up a little bit, but I wasn't gaining any weight. So I just looked worse. I looked like I was sick.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah.
Well,
so I figured out I'm going to get to a certain weight.
Yeah,
exactly.
no, it has to be managed with diet and exercise. And just as a side note, not that we want to get segued too much, but we have Ryder Zizo, one of the other XDA producers, is saying you keep looking younger and younger every time. So whatever you're doing is working. It's for me. It's I've struggled with it as well. But the short version is I actually, and many people may not like that, but I started doing the Atkins diet about maybe 4 months ago. And it took me a little bit to get into it, but once I got in, it was just magic, because I don't know how to explain it, but it hooks. It's easy. There's sacrifices, obviously. My diet varies, restricted, but it works. It's great. It gives me the energy that I needed. I can still do my runs, and it keeps me in the exercise routine. It just puts me in that routine that I have to always be aware of it. So definitely helps being able to just go around. And for me personally, is to be able to run around after my son. That's really the biggest thing that kind of got me. I get exhausted when I was running after him. And as you know, yours is a little older than mine. I think mine is just almost turning 6 in December. They're a ball of energy. They have a lot of energy, and they can run for hours. But anyways, so that's my motivation. And of course, watching you, being able to do it, I also kind of motivated me as well to get back on the, in the mood of running and doing things. So I guess maybe a nice little segue as far as some things we're looking in the news, since if you look at your Google Plus post or any other feed in the last 24 to 48 hours, the number one thing that's on there right now is iOS. Only because it's a big thing, it's going on. And my personal, have you used an iOS device before? I guess maybe that's the first question. Have you ever used an Apple? Okay.
Yeah, when I first got started with smartphones, actually the beginning of my YouTube channel, I had the iPhone, the original iPhone, and then the iPhone 3G. And at this point, I have. Sorry about that. At this point, I actually owned an iPad Air myself. I picked one up probably a year and a half ago, just because I wanted to make sure to be able to keep tabs on that side of the market. But I just am not a fan of iOS, so I don't use it all that much. My little boy has an iPad mini, and he is probably playing on it right this very second. So he's very much the what games does it have, what apps does it have, I don't care what it is. And I'm happy that I'm sort of raising him that way, because he's used laptops, he's used tablets, he used the NVIDIA Shield, he's still got the original Shield portable in there. He's got a Nintendo DS, so he's capable of playing on whatever platform you put him in front of. So he's comfortable with a bunch of different operating systems, and I like that. It's
surprising how. So as for my history, I used to have an iPhone for work for a while, maybe about a couple of years back, and then after the iPhone 4, I was done with. I just felt too constrained, and personally, you may have noticed over the years, even on XDA, I like to modify my phone. I'm not happy with what I usually get. I like the hardware, but I feel like the software is always limiting, and that's just historically how manufacturers or OEMs try to do. So I've always wanted to modify things and change things. So what I end up doing over the years is I even though I have an assigned phone personally for work, I swap the phone. And when I had the iPhone 4, I actually swapped it for an Android phone mid-year, because I was in the middle of working with different phones. So when I did that, I realized I shouldn't really be getting that.
No.
And we'll go ahead and take a little break. I wish I had some music.
He brought his iPad in. He wants a new game.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if in another 20 minutes or 10, 15 minutes, my son walks up here with this. So I gave my son the Nexus 7, my old Nexus 7, and he, I'm not going to lie, he would like to have an iPad because he sees the different games. It's the ecosystem. They're more tailored. But I like personally the iPad because I can limit his profile. So I've created a profile for him on the tablet, and I restrict certain things. So he only has certain functions, even within Netflix, which drives me crazy. But that's a different thing.
Yeah, he doesn't have Netflix on his iPad, but I've got it very, very locked down. So no in-app purchasing, no certain features and functions you can just turn off entirely. Like you can't get to the camera. I left that one on because has fun playing with the photo booth.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, so overall, it's, I guess, with the last couple of days with all the feeds coming out, so we're going to see a lot more news, obviously, on the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus.
Yeah.
So that's just going to be how it is. And then by Monday, Tuesday, it will be Nexuses or Nexi or Nexi. I think, is it Nexi?
The new potato camera.
The new potato camera, yes. One at least that interests me out of the two is the Huawei one, or as one of my viewers on YouTube called me, it's supposed to be called Huawei. The H is actually pronounced, or W. So, or apparently in the West, we apparently say it the wrong way, or at least I don't know.
I've met a bunch of people from Huawei, and they don't pronounce the H.
No,
like,
so
they've gotten on to me about it.
Yeah, so if you watch the Huawei company's commercials, even their own commercials announced, if it's geared towards the Asian market, you'll notice that the word Huawei is spelled Huawei differently as opposed to the way we say Huawei, because it has an H in the beginning, but we pronounce it as if it has a W.
Right.
So anyways, he corrected me, but then I realized it's really a market-directed. Yeah, it sounds in English it sounds Huawei, and Huawei. Anyways,
it probably has to do with different syllables that are available in the language. Like a lot of the Japanese names will have an extra U in it or something, because in Japanese it's like ku instead of K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think we came to an agreement on that one, saying it's a market-based pronunciation. But at least of the two, that's the one that interests me mostly because it's the bigger of the two. It's the closer to the Nexus 6. At least the way it looks like right now, it could have a potential of 128 gigs of storage. That's exciting.
Oh yeah.
Not that
there are still companies making 16 gig and 8 gig phones. It's like,
oh my God, don't get me on that. It's like, so that the moment the iPhones were announced, I was watching that, and I called it my comedy show because of the way it's presented. It's an amazingly enjoyable show to watch. Nothing informative, but very, very funny. They announced the 16 gig as if it's an option. I'm like, you give them 4K video recording, but you tell them 16 gigs is okay.
Yeah,
great.
4K video. You can make a 2-minute video. Have fun.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. And I saw from somebody that 16 gig version comes with like 4 gigs of storage available.
Yeah, and that's the sad part. Yeah, and I don't think people realize that. And then, well, actually, what'll end up happening is most people have realized this over the years. You'll go to the stores and you'll see the 16 gig model is the one that ends up being stuck in the store. So if you ever want to find an iPhone 6s or 6s Plus, you'll find the 16 gig because that's all you can do. You could just look at the phone, make calls. Yeah. But anyways, so I don't know why they still have it as an option. I think it's a little bit of a trick, and I say that, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but I think it's a trick. It gets you in because of the price of that is the cheapest, and then when you realize what you really need, you're already somewhat vested, and you're more likely to go to the 32, the 64, to the next level.
Well, especially if whoever you're buying it from has a good return or exchange policy, because it's only $100 more, and you've already paid that initial investment for a little bit more. And even if you're doing a monthly plan, especially like I think T-Mobile does a free exchange within 30 days or something like that.
So I'm part of that on T-Mobile. That was the jump on demand. I took advantage of that with the Note 5. Okay. The Note 5 was the first device I chose not to pay full price for when I wanted to get, and mostly because of it was just the price point was too high. And I started off, obviously, as you saw with the video I did for XDA, on the S6 Edge Plus, and they're getting ridiculously too high, and especially. I don't have, so just for reference, I don't normally get devices for review. Any device that I've ever reviewed on my channel, even for XDA, unless explicitly mentioned, like the OnePlus One or the LG G4, I normally don't get, sponsored. I don't get them sent to me. So it has to be something that I have to do, and to be able to support my content or even support my personal addiction. I'll put that on the side. And it's actually not a bad plan. It's very, the easy way to explain it is, I mean, you don't have value in your device. That's really what it is. You're leasing the device and you're putting a down payment of sorts if you go with a special model. But it's no different than leasing your car. You put a down payment, you have it for a year or so, 2 years, you're done with it, you turn it in, you get another car. You don't build equity in it. But then if you think about it, it's about the same money that you would lose if you bought the device and sold it a year later. So it kind of breaks out to be about the same. I went with the 32 gig model on the Note 5, and it's about $20 a month. Not a lot, but in the next 6 months, I probably will change my device again, and this gives me the opportunity to do that. So if I want to jump to the the S7 or whatever the next one, or the HTC M10, whatever numbering comes up after this, it would be very easy. I just turn in my device, no questions asked, just the unit itself, no accessories. I get a new device and I walk out the door. It's really not bad, and I keep paying my around $20 a month for the payment for it. It works great, and if I want to keep the device, realistically, I can just buy it off and then keep it and get out of the jump on demand. So it's something really nice. Samsung, I think I also heard, was thinking about getting into the leasing program, as Apple is in the middle of it now. Obviously, they announced their own leasing program for everybody that wants an iPhone every year. I think their pricing is a little bit high, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But so not going to go too far on that. I want to make sure maybe hopefully people will get a chance to see that. So we're doing a big giveaway a conjunction between a few channels here, between you and I and a few other people. So we're going to, Root Junkie. We have Joshua Bain from Bain Tech, of course, and we have Josh from What Would Josh Do. By far, I think one of the guy just looks like he has too much fun making videos, and I think I enjoy watching his videos just because of that. He smiles all the time. He's happy. And it just comes out through the screen, and it's just really, really, really nice. And of course, yourself, and the entries for the video, or at least for the giveaway, are going to be ending tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I know you were putting up the I think it was the Elephone P7000.
Yep.
How do you like the device overall, as far as the specs? To obviously it's a MediaTek device, not a Qualcomm chipset, but for the SoC, has it performed well in the time that you were using it when you were reviewing the device?
Yeah, that's the thing. Among most of the phones I've been using, I found that it's hard to find a phone now that's not decently performing. Some of these little sub $100 phones, they can get bogged down a little bit, but even they can get the job done for day-to-day stuff. Unless you're trying to do like ultra high-end gaming, the grand majority of these phones will work really well. The biggest thing there is just what version of software do they come with? Will they be updated? And do they support 4G LTE where you are? The Elephone, unfortunately, does not support 4G here in the States, so I was able to do 3G only on it. But I seem to remember having a pretty decent camera, had really nice battery life. Again, couldn't test it on 4G, so I couldn't really thoroughly gauge the battery life or anything. But overall, not a bad device. And Elephone, we got a chance to meet the company when I was in China, and very nice people. They're very detail oriented. They've got a bunch of phones that are coming out that are very impressive, very interesting. They're really focusing on big batteries, decent cameras, and making sure you do have the latest version of software.
That's one of the things. Yeah, they do put out a lot of updates. I think the few devices that I've worked with at least have had good recent updates, and or at least have been mentioned that they're going to getting at least the 5.1 update at the time, because I think I received a few KitKat devices. But I'm seeing more and more MediaTek CPUs in watches. Even smartwatches are starting to have MediaTek processing units.
I know the new O-Mate one was supposed to have the MediaTek in it, I think.
I think so, yes. And that was actually one of the things that I think originally was, releasing the source code was essentially related to the MediaTek association with the SoC on that one. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the new generation of the watch as well is also still running the MediaTek processor. Just bring back the, okay. So overall, I think with the devices that are coming out, is there anything that you're excited about, or have you thought about anything? I mean, I know I mentioned my personal preference on the Nexus device, but are you excited at all by any of the new ones coming out?
As far as the Nexus devices, I'm not as excited. I've got the Nexus 4 here. I had the Nexus 5. I skipped over the Nexus 6 because really, I sort of look at the Nexuses as, here's a good development device. It is representative of the sort of mid-range of where things are. From what I've seen about the new Nexus devices, they look like they're pretty standard fare. If they have good cameras, awesome. That's sort of where one of my real focuses lie with new devices. They need to have a decent camera. I'm honestly more interested in looking at the new things from Samsung, because they have been killing it when it comes to cameras. The new Moto X, I've seen its cameras kind of hit or miss.
The Moto X Pure, you mean?
Yeah. Well, and the Play, which we can't get our hands on, I think was supposed to have an even better camera, wasn't it?
Yes, as far as I know, it's supposed to.
But it's not a US device, something like that.
Well, I think it's coming as being branded under Verizon as one of the new droids. So it may be coming to the US, or just not under the same name. You know, Verizon.
I did see something about a Droid Turbo 2. That's been one of my favorite devices too, just because of the battery life. The camera wasn't that good, but if the camera on the Droid Turbo 2 is good, I may end up with one. No, I very much lucked into getting a Droid Turbo because my wife's got it now.
I saw your testing on your fast charge testing on that. Personally, at least for me, in the near future, I am looking at the Nexus 6. Well, not the 6, the Nexus, the Huawei Nexus. I'm a little bit concerned that at this time, because of the limitation of the technology, normally we'd have a better processor maybe coming out, but we're still stuck with the 810 on that as far as the CPU. And it's a good, capable CPU, but I feel like the power management and the not massively bad overheating, but it's a heating issue. It could be a big hindering factor for a development device that people may usually want to use as a daily driver. I mean,
and just having used the OnePlus 2 as a daily driver, it's got the 810 in it, and battery life has been terrible for me. And it does get very, very hot. It doesn't get like hot, burn you to the touch kind of hot, but when you have it in a pocket, you can tell it's there.
Yes, I've experienced the same thing, because I usually carry my devices in the pocket too, and you can feel it. And I try to check on it, and there's almost nothing running. That's what kills me. Yeah. But I'm trying to find some options to see how we can rectify some of this with root and custom ROMs. But as far as I know, most of the ROMs right now on the market are unofficial, since the device is so new. So it's still it's still getting out there.
Yeah. Well, and just speaking of things I'm excited about moving forward, where Qualcomm just recently announced all their new chip line, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Snapdragon 820 and the quick charge still being fast as it is. I can't even imagine how fast, being able to plug your phone in and a half an hour later be completely charged. I come home for lunch, plug it in, I'm good to go for the rest of the day. Not that you should have to do that. Battery life should be able to last a whole day at least, but convenient.
It's definitely it's getting to the point now where I'm hoping it doesn't discourage manufacturers from doing that by giving us better battery life and managing the battery usage, because it really has a lot to do with the OS, the consumption of resources, Google Play services running in the background, or other just bloatware of things that don't need to be sitting in RAM all the time doing things. So it frustrates me, because you see the same Note 5 on AT&T and on T-Mobile having different battery lives. Yeah. It just kills me, and it tells me that there's additional things on the system that needs to be tweaked, and that's what drives me to go to custom ROMs and custom kernels for sure, to be able to basically control some of these functionalities. And I've seen actually rumors somewhere on the XDA saying that you're able to enable fast charging on the OnePlus 2 using a custom kernel. I don't think it's fast QC, but it's USB fast charging. So they increase the speed of the charge, but not necessarily at quick charge levels.
I'd be curious if doing that would hurt the battery, because I'd be willing to bet if they didn't include it by default, there's probably a reason. They probably put a cheap battery in there that doesn't really want to charge fast.
That's what I was thinking, and I'm thinking that's why we were able to only get fast USB, not quick charge. Right. In older generation Nexus devices, they've been able to turn that on even with existing tech for the battery, and I think it increases the rate, but it doesn't multiply it at the levels that quick charge does. And I think you're right. It has to be hardware dependent. It's sad that they have the Type-C connector, which is capable of providing more power, and they have the CPU that's capable to work with the quick charge technology, but no quick charge.
They have the connector that's capable of 3-speed, so it's the connector is capable of it, but the one for the OnePlus 2 is not. If I remember correctly, they put it 1+2 or USB 2 speeds. So if you're trying to transfer all these 4K files off, you're going to be doing it at a maximum of like 480 megabits a second instead of gigabits per second.
So basically, they gave us a Pinto and made it look like a Ferrari.
Yep. Yeah, it's a body modification kind of thing, you know.
Dang it! Dang it! Okay.
We got our beautiful new Tesla with our moped engine in it.
Yeah, it's totally great for the environment. No emissions.
Yeah, never settle.
Very low emissions and but very low speeds. Anyways, the OnePlus is an interesting device. OnePlus 2 is interesting on its own, even with its own little quirks. I have some things that I do enjoy about it, and there are some things that just drive me up the wall. But that's just me.
I'm not going to go too far into it because I'm going to be doing a full video about it. But front-facing video that's still 720p when you have 4K on the rear-facing camera, no.
I totally agree, especially when the camera is fully capable of going much higher to 1080p and give you a much better quality. So the other thing I want to maybe just discuss a little bit with you. Now I know you and I have been on XDA for some time. You actually were on there a lot longer than I have, and I used to watch your shows before I even remotely looked at it, looking and even asking for that. We just got a question. I don't know if you're familiar with Loki Fishmars. He's one of the developers, XDA, as well as worked a lot on the OMate firmware and kernel to be able to just get it up and to even be a functioning usable watch. But he's put in the battery's Type C rating would be interesting to find out as far as what the rate on the battery, can it actually handle higher rates?
Right.
You want to say hi? I told you it's a timing thing. It doesn't.
It is. Oh no, my little one came and he was sitting at the door for a few minutes there.
Just waiting. Say hi to Mr. Jordan.
Hi, Mr.
Hello.
Jordan.
I'll be out there in a minute, buddy. Okay. Yeah, it's inevitable. But yes, it'd be interesting just to find out, I guess, the rating of the battery and see what it is. Is it something that we're able to, can we actually do quick charge on it? Can it handle it? And what kind of battery? Because most of us really don't even see the battery with the new one. The new one is actually completely covered, where the old one, at least with the OnePlus One, you could see the actual cells that wrapped around with the packaging, but you can see them.
Yeah, there is a teardown on iFixit. I haven't looked at it yet, but it says at 3.8 volts and 3,300 milliamp hours, this provides a slight improvement. But rating not removable, completely covered.
Yeah, it's entirely blocked, and the only thing you can get to is the removable dual SIM tray. But it is what it is. For the price point where it is, I think it works great to meet that requirement. But is it really a flagship killer? I think it's a gimmick at this point. It's not really in the ballpark of anybody. The other thing I was trying to hint to, or at least go into real quick, is with XDA and what are the things that we're doing, and at least how our production level has changed. What we have on XDA the last maybe month or so has changed dramatically, and the easy way to explain it, so hopefully for our viewers to understand, it's not that we're not producing. It's just the easy way to say that the requirements have changed. The direction that the channel, the management of the channel would like to take the channel are they're going to try to increase viewer counts and increase viewership and make it more of a higher quality video, I guess, maybe the easy way to say it. And that's causing some changes a little bit and some flux into how often videos are posted. At least for me personally, I've had quite a few people ask me what happened to Exposed Tuesdays. That was kind of like the thing that went on for a lot longer than I thought it was going to. I'm not going to deny. I started Exposed Tuesday thinking it was going to be like a couple of months worth of thing at the end of the year, I think a couple of years ago, and it just exploded. It just went all over. Everybody had exposed modules. It was installing them, changing them, putting them in. I was extremely happy with that series, and it didn't go away. Just want to let obviously our fans know it. The requirement for that series is they just want us to focus on bigger modules, bigger changes, as opposed to little things, which I was covering everything from small mods to big ones, and they want us to focus on the bigger ones and just give them more and make it more showcased that way. and I think also, you know, obviously that impacted us with the way we were doing with devices and so on. We don't. I don't know why I'm struggling trying to figure out how to say things. It's
well, trying to say it without saying too much, but it's happening across the board. Because for actually several years there, I was making 2 news videos a week, and then it sort of came across that, well, you know, you're actually splitting your views across 2 videos there. Why not combine them into one? It allows XDA to have to pay out a little bit less to make the channel more efficient, and it allows me to only have to make 1 video for that a week. The unfortunate side effect of that is that monthly income on this side of the fence is way down, but we make up for that in other ways.
No, and then I think that's one of the reasons why we're doing the giveaways, and we're doing other things to kind of, you know, promote and try to increase our channel viewers. And realistically, for me, for the last couple of years, I have improved. I've gone through a lot of. I mean, I've bugged you a couple of times. I used to bug Kevin when Kevin was with us, and I still actually bug Kevin to this day, but that's beside the point. He left, and he's like, I left the channel a long time ago, bro. Why do you keep asking me questions? I've improved a lot. And yeah, well, he's actually a really cool guy to talk to. And I ran into him at CES this year, and it was really, it's nice to put a face to, you know, when you talk to people so often. And I know we saw each other earlier as well, and it's one of those nice things to, you know, you work with people virtually all the time, and it's just he's a nice guy, and he's always open to help. And that's, I think, one of the things that comes through their channels. It's they're willing to help, and that's one of the things also for you as well, is you can relate to your presentation skills, and that's really what it is. It's really nice, presented, put together, and it's candid. You're doing it easy, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, go ahead.
Kind of in that vein, that's one of the reasons I really enjoy getting the chance to go to some of these events. Like, went to the to CES the last couple of years, and at those events you get to run into other people in the tech community, people that you've been watching maybe for years. At some of these events, I ran into like John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. I've run into Philip DeFranco at one point, and I'm like,
I haven't run into. I know.
I ran into iJustine at one of the events because she was doing some stuff with Intel there, and it's just it's nice to be able, like you said, to put a face to the person that you've seen on the other side of the screen, and you know, to be able to tell them in person, hey, your content has really influenced me and inspired me. So if the people on the other side of the screen, if you have a chance to go to an event like this, to maybe a developer conference or to an electronics show or anything, take the chance. I'm going to be coming to DroidCon next month, and I know you're going to be going to the barbecue next month, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's both are great events. I enjoyed the barbecue last year immensely. I got to meet so many people. Actually, that's where I met Joshua Bain in person for the first time. And this year, I think Root Junkie is going to be there. Joshua Bain is going to be there. There's Marshall Williams is also going to be there. He's one of the other guys I met there last year with Joshua, and it's just a great community. You get to meet people. You get to put the faces, you know, and you get to hang out. You get to be the, you know, just really enjoyable place. And just one of the things, last thing I want to mention. So hopefully things with XDA will get, you know, we're going to get normalized. We'll get a little bit more set up in the rhythm of things coming out, and we'll be working on more or better content for you guys to enjoy.
Yeah,
definitely. So we're almost at the end. I just wanted to go through and didn't have that many other questions coming through on our side. As far as, you know, overall, you know, experience and things with YouTube, is there any recommendations or anything that you'd recommend to somebody that maybe want to start a new channel, or you know, considering maybe possibly starting something on YouTube?
Yeah. There's one thing that I say. I've been asked a bunch of times recently this question specifically, and there's one thing I always tell people when they say, what should I do to start a YouTube channel? And I say, just start doing something. Do anything. If you have a cell phone, pick up that cell phone, turn it at yourself, turn it at something you want to film, start filming things, learn how to edit, learn how to, you know, what makes a video flow well. And even if you don't do all that immediately, just take your camera, turn it on, and start posting things to YouTube. Because what I found is with like 90% of people, 99% of people even, that they will, ding dong, that they will say, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to make videos. And then they never do it. Or they'll upload one or two and their channel doesn't immediately explode. So they just give up. And it's like, you don't give up. You've got to keep going. For the first for the first several months when I first started making videos a long time ago, I only was getting a couple of views, a couple of hundred views, maybe maximum. With my daily vlogging channel, I probably get 200 views per video, which, you know, from where I'm standing is not a lot, but I do it because I enjoy doing it.
Yes.
And that's the real thing. Find the things you're passionate about, make videos about them. If you're not making videos about them, you're not making a YouTube channel. That's as simple as it is.
It definitely, you're right. You need to start it, do something you enjoy so you can stick with it and definitely stick to it. That's really what it is. You have to stick to it, and
you don't have to start off with a 4K camera. You don't have to start off with, you know, the best microphone you've ever had, but you just start off with something. Like I said, even these, you know, these sub $100 phones. Actually, I think one of these will do 1080p video, and this thing was like $50.
Oh wow! Well, yeah. I agree, and I think it's something we definitely need to look into as far as just if you start and do it.
Just start. Just try something. Understand your first 100 videos are going to suck. They're going to be terrible, but you'll get better.
On that mark, I just crossed my first 100 videos, which hopefully we're
okay. There you go. Now you can be good.
Yeah, I know. Now I can do my 101 and start.
One of my friends always tells me it's the 10,000 hour rule. You are going to be terrible at something until you have been doing it for 10,000 hours. So you're going to be terrible at shooting video and at editing video and at whatever else until you've put that much time and effort into it. Yes. I've definitely put in more than that, and I still think I have a long way to go, but it's just a matter of doing it and practicing it.
Exactly. Well, sir, I want to say thank you very much for joining me this morning for this time. I'm glad we were able to make some time to be able to chat. I know you have to jet.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
I have to go fix the tablet for my son since the thing wasn't working. But yeah, no, I wish you good luck with your endeavors, and you know, definitely if you haven't entered to the giveaway, please enter. And the entry will end tomorrow on the 27th at midnight or 11:59. And with that, sir, I say good day, good morning, and I will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Goodbye.